Rage on that beat, going crazy. Rage on that beat, going crazy.
Hello, 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 one and all. Thank you for being here this evening, this afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are, welcome. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome for tonight. It is another Stadia Monday Night Chat. Yes, with me, your host, Clive Illenden, as we take a balloon trip into the clouds of gaming. Let's throw off that ballast and go up, up and away in our beautiful Stadia balloon. How are you all, ladies and gentlemen? How are you all? I hope you are well. I hope you are good. Introduce yourself into the chat. Ask questions. Say hi. Big thank you for everybody's here right now, live, watching this. I really appreciate everybody who comes and watches the show. Actually, whether it's live or a little bit later, it means a lot to me. It's significant and I think it's good and I appreciate it. So thank you. Anyway, if you're live here, as I say, introduce yourself into the chat, say hi to everybody, pass around the cocktail sausages, all of that. Let me know what games you've been playing, etc. Of course, avail yourselves to the super chats if you should feel so generous to show your love. And of course, hit them likes, ladies and gentlemen, hit those likes. And if you're new here, a very special welcome to you, monsieur and madames. Make yourself at home and hey, why not subscribe? Hit that notification button so you know when I go live with shows like this. Good. Shall we crack on, ladies and gentlemen? I hope it is all good Stadians in the chat. It's been another good week for Stadia. September is continuing to be a cracking month for the platform. And we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Just a quick hello to everybody. Jerome, Project, Kevin, Power Fantastic, J Key, X2I, Nix, Blue Bobs, Dave, all of you, hi. As I say, it's beginning to be a cracking month for the platform. We already know it started off as a cracking month and it's continuing to be a cracking month, and we're not done yet because we know there's still stuff to come towards the end of the month. So let's find out what's been going on in the world of Stadia and why in particular it's been a cracking week or so. So obviously this week here, just take, I don't want the sound on that there. There we go, of course. There we are. This week, of course, we saw the Ubisoft Forward event, and there were new games such as Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is kind of got that real retro feel as well, a sort of a scrolling beat and bash 'em upper kind of stuff. We've also got what's this here? We've got the Riders Republic trailer. That looked really cool, a kind of open world game as well. So these are sort of new games, really exciting. So new game announcements, they keep coming. The new game announcements keep coming to Stadia. That's the really cool thing. And as I said, of course, we had, as I was showing earlier there, Phoenix Rising, of course, and making an appearance, Stadia's own Phoenix Rising from the flames of obscurity, Phil Harrison, of course, with the announcement of Stadia, of that exclusive early access and Stadia only demo level, which I think is related to that accidental release we saw a few months ago. I think they must have been experimenting with it anyway. And of course, in addition to this, we've seen we've had an announcement of more games. So Risk of Rain 2 from Gearbox Publishing, that was announced, with more exclusive content just for us Stadia folk. Although I think that is coming to the other platforms as well. I think they're sort of in between on that. So it launched officially in its full version on platforms at the end of August, I believe. So we're getting a little bit kind of updated version, and we get the benefit of some of seeing some content first. Of course, Kronos as well. Let's see if we can find that Kronos video. That's not the Kronos video. Anyway, so we saw the Kronos video, so we know that's coming. So more and more games, of course. And feature-wise, of course, it was confirmation that Crowd Choice is going to launch at Baldur's Gate 3. So that's really cool. Let me know what you think about those games. I think some of those look really, really cool, really dope. So it's going to be great, as I say. And it's just good to sort of, there's this constant flow of games that we know are coming and new games that are a surprise as well, plus this exclusive content and stuff. But for me, it was the appearance of Phil Harrison and the announcement of those exclusive levels, and perhaps more importantly, effectively a demo level that you can play with Immortal Phoenix Rising just with their Gmail account. And it specifically says in the Stadia blog for all Stadia users. So normally they would frame it, oh, for Stadia Pro, you get this, but it's for all Stadia users. So anybody was doubting, did they mean Stadia Pro or all users or the Gmail? You know, is that clear? I think it's clear if you read the blog, it's for all Stadia users. So basically just try it with a Gmail account. I think that's really big and it's really significant. And I also think it's pointing towards a pattern. Okay, maybe a couple of examples. It might be too early, but I'm thinking there might be a pattern here. One that's been slow in the building, okay? But it could be a sign that we're seeing the shoots from seeds that were planted quite a while ago in terms of building relationships with developers and with publishers and stuff. These things aren't instant. They take time to build the relationships. They take time to develop and nurture and get the games out on the platform and stuff, because obviously we know people are having to port to a new platform. So this is a long game. It's a long game, but we're seeing some major positioning taking place, I think. And what with Xcloud kind of officially launching tomorrow, it's not a moment too soon, I think, because there's a lot of buzz around cloud gaming right now, and there will continue to be buzz around cloud gaming, thanks partly to Xcloud launching tomorrow. And we know with Stadia that, the great thing about the demo level is we know that people just need to try Stadia. All of you in the chat, or imagine most of you in the chat, like myself, we know the tech works, for us, and we know it works really well. So we just know people just need to try it. And so these demo levels are demo levels of a game like Immortal Phoenix, which has, got combat, exploration, puzzle solving, a sort of a mix of everything, I think, is a great way to sort of say, come and have a go. Come and have a go on the platform. See if it works for you. And don't read all the junk. The tech speaks for itself. And I think that's important. And that, of course, all leads nicely, ladies and gentlemen, into my thesis today, which I, in my kind of normal clickbaity style, gave a big kind of outrageous question. What now, Stadia? What now, Stadia? I do apologize partly for those sort of thumbnails, I do, but do you know what? My views of these videos virtually doubled when I went for a, excuse me, even the idea of writing that in a thumbnail sticks in my throat there. Writing those slightly contentious clickbaity thumbnail styles gets clicks. I'm sorry, I'm guilty of doing that. But bear with me on this thesis. I think you'll enjoy it. But before we do, let's rewind, yeah? Let's rewind. Let me just tell you a little story, which I'm going to be using as an ongoing analogy, a metaphor. You know I like the metaphors, okay? In the Rio Olympics in 2016, Mo Farah was defending his 10,000 metre gold medal from 2012 London Olympics. Halfway through that race, he tripped and he fell. But he got up and he went on to win gold at Rio in that race. What's that got to do with anything, Clive? Bear with me. It's an analogy. Cloud gaming and the building of cloud gaming as a thing that people do and accept is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And falling over at the start or having an early misstep is not the end of your race. Stadia know this is a long distance race. I only say this now because, and I know this is painful for many of us Stadia fans to rake over such things. Oh my God. But who can forget headlines like this? I will show you and then you can see. Remember this way back at the beginning? Yeah. Remember this way back at the beginning of Google's launch? This is from GameDaily.biz. Report. Google Stadia dead on arrival. DFC Intelligence. DFC Intelligence are a big consultancy firm. Interesting. Perhaps don't invest your money in DFC Intelligence because we're nearly a year later and I don't think Stadia is dead. Do you? No. But we were, we sort of saw articles like this and this kind of idea, headlines like this, that sort of have persisted and continue to persist. I mean, it gets kind of a little bit annoying, that things from here kind of still exist in the world. And headlines like this that kind of seeded that initial negative perception that we've seen. And as I said, that even today amongst the ill-informed and unwashed masses of the sort of gaming people and stuff, it still persists. Erroneously, yes, but it still persists. And in my view, the biggest culprit right at the beginning of all of this, if not the eye of the storm, the focus point, or the reference point, I should say, of that negative perception of Stadia, stemmed from this man, ladies and gentlemen. This man. This is my view. I think it stemmed from this man. Even so, it became a significant meme about Stadia. And it was this guy here. Can you remember this? Who remembers this idiot? Yes, I called him an idiot. And I'm qualifying that. Yeah, I'm qualifying that, as you'll see. This is Washington Post. The Post tested Google Stadia. The input lag is horrendous. November the 18th, 2019. And this guy has been referenced, and well, early days on reporting of Stadia was referenced so many times, as I said, so much so that he even became a sort of a Stadia meme, a sort of an anti-Stadia meme. And since then, we've seen kind of article after article, every so-called armchair gaming expert with their ill-researched views just echoing and repeating this kind of original article, despite the fact that it was the article itself was significantly problematic in the beginning. One, and that for most of the people who've tried Stadia, like most of you, like me, knew right from the beginning it works really well, and this article didn't make any sense. And interestingly enough, when I went back to research this article, here you will see there's this little bit here which I hadn't noticed before. Editor's note. Look at him just looking at it, idiot. At the beginning of the publication of this video, this video said we'd asked Google for comment on the input lag time. We had not. We have since removed this from the video. Gene Park. So they even added a small editor's correction later. But, no one's going to go back and read an old article for fuck's sake, admitting that they, in fact, did not reach out to Google, as they stated. And we know from what happened to Digital Foundry, whose opinion I rate as sort of tech specialists, on the Doom Eternal review that they did on Stadia, the initial Doom Eternal review on Stadia. And everybody who read that, who sort of played Doom Eternal on Stadia or had Stadia, was thinking, what are you talking about? And Stadia, realizing that such an experience was not the norm, they would have reached out and helped Washington Post sort of correct them, put them right on a few things, made sure that the experience was optimized, and provided them with sort of the basic help and a few key hints, of course, Stadia, like useful tips and hints like, Stadia's not going to work on your corporate Wi-Fi, you fudgewit. What bloody idiot. It's just like common sense. But Google should have been there sort of guiding them with that and preventing that kind of thing. But, on Broadway, on the old Broadway musicals, there used to be a legendary theatre critic for the New York Times. And it was, it was said that New York theatre critic New York Times theatre could close a show just by their one review, And I kind of got a sense almost it was a bit like that. But we were never at that stage with the Washington Post or whatever. But the Washington Post article does, in my opinion, have a lot to answer for. And, the previous article that I showed you and this is beginning, like all these articles in the right from the get-go, they're beginning to look a bit stupid. That original headline I showed you, Stadia dead in the water. I don't think it is. So all I'd say there is, hey, Gene Park of Washington Post, for it is him. Time for a revisit, maybe? Maybe have a word with Google? Maybe read up on the Reddit page on how to set up and optimize your system so it works for you? Now, of course, there were lots of other factors at the time of launch. Of course, I get that. There were mismanaged expectations. And yes, Stadia didn't help themselves with a few missteps or mismanagement of the message at the time. That goes to say. But yes, I didn't want to go down the Bezos owns Washington Post Amazon conspiracy theory, but it did cross my mind. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But there is that. There's no... Even subconsciously, that may have had an impact, like a what we call an unconscious bias, maybe. But that launch, all of that launch is history now. But there is still the legacy of it, which Stadia's had to deal with in terms of perception, and will continue to deal with anyway. And the best way to deal with it is just to show, hey, Stadia works. To show, hey, we do have the games and all of that kind of stuff. And this is what Stadia's been doing. If it's a marathon, it's about building a steady pace, building on what you've done, making sure you're well placed to compete when it really counts, to making sure that you are in the race, slowly building brick by brick. So the question is, when does it count? When is the end of the race? I'm not sure there is an end of a race. But for me, generally, it counts in terms of your position when cloud gaming is accepted as a general thing. When the general gaming populace has bought into, and the casual gamer and beyond it, and the non-gamers have bought in and accepted cloud gaming as a thing. Is that now? No. But with the likes of Stadia, GeForce Now, and of course, the release of Xcloud official, if you want to call it, and the announcement that they're making EA Play available this week, and whatever Sony's got planned with the new improved PS Now, which is meant to be coming as well, we can see that cloud gaming is really gaining acceptance and entering the mainstream over the next couple of years. It is an inevitability, people. It's absolutely inevitable. We saw it with music, and then film and TV, and now games is the natural next step. And all the naysayers, in their arguments of, no, it's impossible because of lag and latency. Games are not like TV and film. They've been proven false, not just by Stadia, but by GeForce Now, by Shadow. You just play Doom Eternal on Stadia. That's a fallacy, the lag and the latency issue. Or you just ask people who've played various games on GeForce Now or on Shadow PC. It's not impossible. The tech works. Cloud gaming is a thing. It works. And right now, in my honest opinion, I think Stadia has the best tech. The acceptance of cloud gaming takes another massive step forward tomorrow, in my view. Because we see the official launch of the Ultimate Games Pass with the Xcloud added in. And as an offering, I'll just call it up here actually, ladies and gentlemen, because it is a good offering. As an offering, Xbox have really put together a real value product, I think. One that seems to be straddling the past and the present. It introduces cloud gaming as effectively an add-on product or a sort of sub-service to the console side of gaming. They're offering that special balance of novelty and the familiar. Remember last week I talked about how people don't like change. They don't like too much change too fast. What they like is the right balance of novelty and the familiar. And the way that Xbox are dealing with this, partly because they have to, because they are in the console business, but to their advantage, it's introducing the right balance between the novelty of cloud gaming and the familiar of console gaming and Xbox as a brand, as a gaming brand, and the history of all of that, at what effectively is a great price. And introducing the subscription model for gaming that takes into account the hardware as well, I think is a great concept. We pay for our phones and stuff. We don't question that. Well, I certainly do. I don't think I've bought a phone ever. Maybe I don't know. I think I've ever bought a phone, but I paid 20, 30, 40 quid a month for one. Now, right now, Xcloud doesn't have to be amazing. I mean, it's only at 720p. It's only on mobiles and tablets. So it doesn't have to be amazing. And what Xcloud lacks in tech, they clearly make up for in games. I mean, look at them. Lots of games. Over 100 more. They've got day one releases, top rated hits. I was looking at this earlier and just thinking that If you look at this, there's no mention, just within this sort of picture here, interesting enough, there's no mention of the tech, of the spec. Yeah? No mention of the tech, no mention of the spec. All it is the games, because that's their strength. Yeah, that's Xbox's strength. They have the games. There's no mention of the tech. It doesn't feature. It's not a prominent feature. If there is mention of it, I can't see it. It's all about, look at the day one releases. Look at these top rated hits you can play. All these hidden gems to discover and 100 more. It's a nice, compelling package. It's all about the games right now. It's not the tech. And for consumers, often, content is king. We've seen before where often the best tech has played second fiddle to the service that has the best stroke most content. We've seen it before. I was looking at the VHS and the Betamax. Now, that wasn't necessarily about content. People said that porn won that battle for VHS. I think that's a bit of a sort of an urban myth. I'm not sure it did. Looking into the battle between VHF and Betamax. So anybody under the age of about 30 probably doesn't know what I'm talking about here. But when we used to have videotapes, yeah, there was a big battle for who would be the dominant format. Would it be the Sony's Betamax or JVC's VHS? And as we know, VHS won the day. Now, part of that is because VHS could record like 2 hours. And Betamax was, although it was much better quality, was restricted to an hour. And in America, people like to watch the American football, and that goes on for about 4 hours. And that's one of the drivers of the reason that VHS became the dominant thing. And then obviously it got all the content, including porn and all of that, and it helped build and build. So, you know, consumers like content. That is an important aspect. And also initially, if you look at Alexa, initially Alexa was far more popular than Google Home. I think it even outsold it significantly. Even though Google Home and Google Assistant has way better tech. I mean, it is much more intelligent. But people were comfortable with Amazon, the idea of playing music on Amazon and ordering food on Amazon and getting the device to do your shopping, and it had more apps and third-party devices connected to it than Google Home initially did. But the Google Home tech shone through. And now the Google Home tech, your Nest and all of that, it has those apps and it has the third-party support. You know, and every time you see now, you know, I remember initially, I was always looking to see whether it said, you know, supports Google Home, and it was always Alexa, 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 and very rarely and Google Home. But now it's always both. And TVs, it's always both now. I see it. But it took a time to get there. And as I say, Google Home Tech and Google Home Assistant is much more, you know, much better than Alexa. As far as Xbox is concerned, they just need their cloud gaming tech to catch up. And this week in particular is but one moment in time, yeah, in the long road to cloud gaming. This week is Xbox's week in cloud gaming. That's all right. You know, they're launching a sort of a new product. Everything's new. I mean, obviously there's been beta versions, but this is them officially launching a new product. Hello, Chris. How are you? Eddie, good to see you. Eric, Happy Cloud. Resurrector, Zero Games, Happy Cloud Gamer. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anybody I've missed, I'll come back to you later. I just want to say hi to all of you. But this is you know, this is Xbox's week, really, because they've got a launch. They put together a very compelling overall gaming offering. As I said, this is Xbox jostling for position in the cloud gaming world. Whilst, and this is the battle, this is the joint juggle, the spinning of plates they need to sort of handle, they're also running a completely separate race against traditional consoles. So they're also obviously having to compete with PlayStation in the console arena. So Xbox task right now The difficult task they have is managing those two sides. And this week, I think we're seeing it for Xbox come together very nicely. And it will be interesting to see what Sony do, if anything at all, on the PS Now side of it. We know that, I don't think it'll all be console concentrated for Sony. I think there may be some updates about PS Now as well. I would like to think, that's the case. But Xbox right now are juggling with this two thing, going into a kind of effectively cloud gaming, which we know they know is the future, but at the same time, making sure that they're well positioned for their core current business, which is console gaming. So that, of course, leads, ladies and gentlemen, to what now Stadia? Yeah, what's Stadia got to do right now? Right now, Stadia is grappling with the twin mammoth tasks of trying to bring a new entrant trying to be a new entrant into the gaming market and exist and be accepted in the world of traditional, well-established gaming platforms and brands. That's a tall ask. And at the same time, establish itself on the vanguard of a new type of gaming platform and a new way to game and convince people to move away from the traditional way of them playing games to the new way of playing games, cloud gaming. So that's Stadia's two mammoth tasks, if you like. Xbox have got their two mammoth tasks, dealing with the current and, the console war, and then entering into cloud gaming and establishing themselves as a sort of legitimate force in cloud gaming. Stadia have got to burst into the gaming market and say, hey, this is where everyone's going to be gaming in the future. Trust us. And that's a tall order. It's two massive dilemmas to deal with and overcome simultaneously. That's what Google's got to do. And it takes a big company with deep pockets to do it. And we know Google, is that company. They've got deep pockets. But let's be very, very clear in what I'm trying to say here and generally. Stadia is not competing directly with PlayStation 5 or Xbox One X, etc. in the console war. That's not where they're at. That's not what they're competing with. Yes, they're competing for attention in the space. They're trying to sort of just, attract people over here, but they're not competing directly with a war or a battle that's going on right now between Sony and Xbox. Yeah. They're just trying to compete for attention and acceptance in the gaming world overall. And it's foolish to have a narrow perspective to think that maybe Stadia needs to beat Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, etc. I'm sorry, that's naive and foolish. So stop it. Stop it. Stop it now. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and to an extent, PC gaming with Steam and Epic and all that, have a long established foothold in the gaming mindset. Yeah. They're bred. People have grown up with these platforms, with these brands. Google does not. Breaking into that and staking a claim of relevancy in such an established marketplace is incredibly difficult, even with the deep pockets of Google. We can see, anecdotally, the impact that Stadia has had in that arena. And we can see that it's been minimal. Anecdotally, I see every day, if you check your Twitter streamers for gamers who are still going, Stadia, didn't that die? These are things I saw yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, not like 9 months ago, 8 months ago. Didn't that die? Or Stadia, I thought that went away. I haven't heard anything from them since it launched. I've read that so many different times on Twitter, on Facebook. And yes, of course, they're idiots. People saying that. And again, I'm qualifying that. They are idiots. They qualify for the idiot. They get an idiot certificate. But they are the idiot majority. And that initially outweighed the positive consensus of Stadia and Stadia fans and how good Stadia was. That it works. Stadia works and it's impressive, etc. Yes, me, you, and the Stadia huddle, we hear Stadia as this noisy beast, But outside, in the greater world, the greater gaming world, it is but a pinprick, an ant. But Stadia know that. Stadia What does Stadia needs to do now? Stadia needs to keep pecking away down its path, building brick by brick by brick, building, keeping relevant, staying relevant, improving the tech features, adding to the game library. Stadia needs to continue to build the platform and service. It's not saying that they're not doing it. I'm just saying this is what they need to continue doing. Continue what you're doing. Carry on. They need to continue to build the relevance. Because when the general gaming community finally embraces cloud gaming, and when other people from outside gaming, that kind of untouched gaming market, comes in, and they turn around and they look at the options, what will they see? Stadia, there, right there, fully formed, instantly accessible, as easy to access as watching a YouTube video. The ease of access, of access, the ease of access, the functionality, the range of games, all there on a plate. No brand allegiance, no console, or even a subscription as a necessity. It's free. And these demos and stuff, try it and see, or even maybe subscribe for an even better experience. But we are some way off that point at the moment. And Stadia is not far off its 1 year anniversary, ladies and gentlemen. It's less than a year old, don't forget. And it's only in 14 countries. I've said it millions of times. And if we accept that, yes, Stadia did stumble partly of their own making, partly due to COVID impacting the industry, because we know that there were 3 major title delays with Cyberpunk, Marvel Avengers, Doom Eternal, all delayed, but eventually came, coming out. Uplay Plus delayed. We know that. So the big question is, what does Stadia, for me right now, is what does Stadia need to do between now and its anniversary? I put here to make things right. I don't think that's right. To sort of continue building on what it's done. Because don't get me wrong, Stadia's been fully aware of what Xbox and Xcloud are doing and how Xcloud's been gathering pace. They know that. And they will have been building to counter this, not immediately, but part of a roadmap that they've had for a long time. There may have been some mishaps or some interruptions with that roadmap. But on that, there are short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. Stadia just need to stay in the race. Keep themselves in a good position. Don't get left behind. And as I've said, this is a slow build. It's about nurturing those relationships that we're beginning to see bear fruit now. Planting those seeds that will bear fruit and stuff. This takes time. It takes time to build relationships. It takes time to develop games and get people on board. But we're beginning to see that with these demos and stuff like that and the exclusive content. It's a difficult task to juggle when people have such short attention spans or lack the vision. But slowly, surely, we're beginning to see those seeds grow and bear fruit. We have AAA titles delivering day. This in the next few months. We have AAA titles delivering, also previously as well. We have AAA titles delivering day and date. As Stadia is considered much earlier in the development cycle of key titles. We've got exclusive elements, such as the demo levels and the free trials. That and there's certainly the demo level we're going to see in Immortals Phoenix Rising. We've got first Stadia sort of first-party studio game about to launch with Outcasters. We've got crowd play and crowd choice imminent, probably by the end of this month. We know crowd choice is coming because it's coming with Baldur's Gate, and we think crowd play is coming with Death by Daylight, of course. And the Uplay Plus announcement is pending. We know it's any moment now. And remember, there are still 2 EA games yet to be announced, along with dates for FIFA, Madden, and Jedi Fallen. So there's a lot happening between now, potentially, the end of the year, but also potentially before the end of November. Stadia just need to release those tech features, as I said, just such as crowd play, choice, streaming to YouTube. It needs to announce a launch date for Uplay Plus. On that note, I was reading and comments on the Xbox Games Pass launch on YouTube today, and there were people putting in comments how, wow, people are impressed with the EA Play and stuff. But loads of comments were saying, wow, imagine if Uplay Plus came to Xbox Games Pass. That would be amazing. Well, guess what, gamers? It's coming to Stadia. It's coming to PC as well, in fairness, but it's coming to Stadia. In addition, as I say, they need to have dates for those EA games that I mentioned. They need to be on the side of other. We know we've got we know we've got those other AAA game launches coming as well. We've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, maybe announce Cyberpunk 2077. Give that a date or something, at least a date. When you start having all those in place, which I expect over the next couple of months, when you have all of those in place, suddenly what 9 months ago looked like a bare bones service with amazing tech is beginning to look like the killer app that was promised with great content. I mean, if you look at this title here, the Xbox launch, you could almost, at the end of the year, put Stadia here. Play over 100 games on Stadia, on your TV, laptop, mobile, for free, or upgrade to Stadia Pro. Here are your day one releases. Stadia will have those. Here are your top rated hits. Stadia have got those. Here are some hidden gems to discover. Stadia have got those. 100 plus games by the end of the year. We're on target for about that. So for me, what Stadia needs to do as we come to the end of the year, and especially around their anniversary, is it's kind of relaunch. I don't think relaunch is quite the right word. I don't mean like wipe away everything, previous, because it's all sort of been building. They're just delivering what they said they would deliver. I guess what I mean to say is represent Stadia with a fresh approach to everything that they are now, everything that they're going to have, that they'll have, but in the next, which is, we're virtually there by November, and everything they're about to have and what they plan to have, whether that's just merely under the guise of launching in other territories, if they made that announcement by the end of the year. I mean, what a package. They would be effectively presenting this package here. The same package that we're seeing here. As I say, play over 100 Stadia games. Day one releases, all the big AAA games. Is Cyberpunk coming to the Xcloud on day one? Or when it launches? I know it's not coming to Stadia day one. Assassin's Creed. Is that coming to Games Pass on day one? Far Cry. Watch Dogs Allegiance. Is that coming to Games Pass day one? Not necessarily. So suddenly you start seeing how towards the end of this year, Stadia's case is as good as this, stands up to this. They're keeping pace with this. They're in the right pace. But of course they have the better tech. So as I say, whether it's in the guise of launching in other territories around the world, or a new Connect, or just a straight anniversary kind of big moment, not a relaunch, but like look what we have, a compelling package offering. Make that, make a big statement on the anniversary. I hope they're going to do something for the anniversary. There's no promise, but I hope they're going to do something just to say, make that statement that this is Stadia. This is the Stadia everyone thought they were getting. However erroneous and misconceived people were back in November 19, whatever, to think they were getting a fully feature set Stadia back then. This is Stadia. Oh, it doesn't work. Yes, it does. Oh, you got no games. Yes, it does. It's got no AAA games. Yes, it does. And you can try for free. That's what they need to do. And they've got really, but as I say, and we know, I'm not sort of saying they have to do this stuff. We know that they're doing a lot of these stuff between now and November. We know big games are launching. We know that. Fact. We know Uplay Plus is coming. Fact. We know the features are coming. Fact. Because, Baldur's Gate. We'll have 100 games, plus the AAA games launching day and date, playable in the cloud. Cyberpunk coming very soon, playable in the cloud. As I said, will those AAA games be on Xcloud on launch? I'm not sure they will. Look at the publishers we've got on board now. We've got the Ubisoft, we've got the Take-Twos, and yes, EA with two of their biggest franchises and the brands, plus Uplay Plus, as I say, coming as well. And all the features that are unique to Stadia. Like I said, like the crowd play, the crowd choice, the streaming to YouTube. It's a good package. And with free demos, to try, which I think is a pattern we'll start seeing more and more because it just makes sense. Just your Gmail required. Give it a go on us. That's all it needs, ladies and gentlemen. All it needs. That's a value package worth having. For free. Or for pro if you want to upgrade. And in my view, it begins to stack up nicely. Even at this early stage. This is still a very early stage. So Stadia. Let Xbox Games Pass have its week. Let Xbox and Sony fight their little console, fight positioning in their console war as well. You just concentrate on running your race. You concentrate on running your race plan. Look at the next couple of months. Continue doing what you're doing. Be ready to show the world what you've achieved in 12 months, plus what you plan to do in the next few years beyond that. You stick with your race plan. That's all you need to do. Stay in the perfect position within the cloud gaming sector, this cloud gaming race. I mean, we're barely finishing lap 1 of the cloud gaming race. The competition is hotting up. But Mo Farah is nicely placed. That's all I'm going to say. There are my thoughts today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it useful. There's lots of comments in the chat, which is always kind of always good. But I just thought I'd share those thoughts with you. Let's have a look at chat. Come on, chat. Make your way through. It'll come through. It'll come through. In the meantime, let's have a look at chat here generally. Welcome to say everybody. Good to see everybody here as everywhere. Let's go back. Netflix, when that was a new thing, exactly. The Netflix is a great prime example. It's a lesson to everybody. If you ever, anybody look in this, as I said before, there's been theses written about Blockbuster and Netflix. And, anecdotally, I tried Netflix and it was terrible, horrible when I first tried it. And then a couple of years later, I went back. It was amazing. Content worked really well. All of that. Absolutely. Holt, I hated all them articles because all the places I tried Stadia blew my mind. Exactly. This is why many of us, it's articles like that Washington Post that drove me to start making content like this. Plus other people I'd seen doing the content, but things like that, it was just frustrating. And I guess that's the same for many content creators or, in Stadia world, and many of you who probably felt the same frustration, like read these things and just thought, what the fuck are you talking about? It works. What latency? What lag? We may have said, ignored the fact that, when we look back, maybe there wasn't the game library wasn't that big. Maybe we're being a bit more generous to Stadia than we should have been in terms of the library. But again, you can't expect too much too soon, I think, with these things. And now we're seeing it. Games are coming every week. And we knew they would from about September onwards. We've got games still coming, as I say, in the next 2 weeks for the end of September, let alone the announcements, whatever the announcements for the pro games will be for October. So it's good times. When Google runs out of money, that's the end of the race for Stadia. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I think they're in it too far. And I think, as I say, you look at the package, it stacks up pretty well with what the Xbox package. It's funny because I was watching the Xbox trailer for Games Pass, and it's very similar to the Stadia trailer that I featured last week. Same style, same sort of music. it's clearly aimed at the same sort of person in its design style and stuff. Yeah, Cyberpunk, Jerry says about Cyberpunk as a pro game. I'm not sure it'd be a pro game, but some special offer, some special deal. If it was a pro game, Jesus, that would be big. Zaid there, I don't doubt cloud gaming is the future game coming into the mainstream. I'm not sure who's going to become the cloud gaming leaders just yet. Exactly. I'm not sure, I don't think there'll be leaders per se. There's room in the market for a group of people, but it's just about becoming one of the major choices. Do I buy an Alexa? Do I buy a Google Home? It's that kind of thing. Do I get a Siri? That sort of thing. Just be in the game. Be one of the good options. Because there'll be people who are who are anti-Xbox or anti-Stadia, or anti-Google rather than Stadia, or anti-PlayStation, much prefer Xbox. But be in the game. Be a real considered choice. That's where they need to be. I wish Witcher 3 would come to Stadia. Well, you never know. I think all their efforts are on getting Cyberpunk up and running on Stadia. Maybe when they've done that, they might have the capacity to do. They are updating Witcher, so why not switch the team? Once you've delivered Cyberpunk, why not on Stadia? Why not switch the team to deliver Witcher 3 whilst you're delivering Witcher 3 to the next gen? Because that's what they're doing, aren't they? Am I right? I think they mentioned that they were going to be doing bringing Witcher 3 to the next gen consoles. Yeah. A big timed exclusive. In the short term, a big timed exclusive like that would be massive. We've already seen the stir it caused just having a small early access demo of Phoenix Immortals Rising. That's just one level. Imagine if they did lock in. We've seen tiny exclusives as well, but a big game, yeah. Yeah, I think Happy Cloud is exactly. We can't really, at the moment, Xcloud. Let's not forget, Xcloud is only for mobile phones and and tablets, tops. When and if they bring out Windows 10 then version, that will be interesting. Because I play most of my Stadia games, even though I have a Chromecast Ultra. I play most of them sitting here. So if I could play, stream the Xbox games here. Although I have an Xbox and it works here as well, so that'd be a bit pointless. But the principle is the same, yeah. Yeah, the input zero game said the input latency is, you literally have to play the games side by side identically to perceive a kind of input lag or to do proper forensic analysis, But for most people who pick up a game, that's what I'm talking. Yes, there is lag and latency, but it's imperceivable, it's imperceptible. Yes, there is. If you slow your thing down to 1 frame a second, whatever, then you'll see the difference. As you say, if you just come off, I don't know, a top end gaming rig and then play the game on Stadia, it'll feel a bit kind of. But for the average gamer who picks it up, it responds instant. It feels like it responds instantly. It's imperceptible. We can't notice a certain amount of lag. I've done it before. I mentioned it before, isn't it? Like something like 150 milliseconds of lag between our brain and our arm and all that kind of stuff. Or we can't perceive something like, I forget what the actual figures are. But, in normal time, there's a certain amount of lag we just can't even perceive. And it's the kind of amount of lag that people talk about look, the difference between the latency between my high-end rig and Stadia is, it's a big number. Yeah, but that big number as a millisecond is imperceivable, imperceptible to the mind. Yeah, exactly, Eric Luger. That's what I was saying about the tech. Exactly. Xbox know their tech isn't up there, so they concentrate on the games because they know their games are there. That's right, yeah. VHS is the topic. VHS, Betamax, and porn, Eddie. Did your ears prick up at the moment when I said the porn bit there? I haven't seen. I have seen some people. I've seen people post the videos. Johnny Barnick there saying I've seen people post the videos of people running. I'm just seeing a chat there. trying to run it on iOS. How successful that is. Why's my chat not coming through? Maybe it's too much chat. That's probably why it's not coming through, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back to... Oh, there it is. Whoa, look at all that chat. Just took a time to get there. Power fan, I don't see the attraction of Xbox. I've been a PS fan since PS3. Well, again, it's choices. I don't know why. I don't have an answer to why I gravitated towards Xbox. I just felt the brand fitted me better than PlayStation. Yeah. What's the frame rate of Xcloud? 30 frames per second. It is, I think, and 720p. Yeah. Yeah. We know Microsoft the weakest cloud tech. Well, they have a bigger cloud presence than Google. They're like number 3 in the world or something like that when I did my research. The Microsoft Azure cloud platform. Whether the cloud tech itself is on a par with Google's tech, I don't know. But certainly Amazon's cloud offering, which I said, as before, makes Amazon 50% of their profit comes from their cloud service offering. And Microsoft Azure is up there. That's why Sony are going to be using Microsoft Azure. Ashes to ashes, hello. Power Fantastic. See, I'll be honest, I've not tried PS Now. And so I don't want to be a hypocrite about, try it. You've not tried it, Stadia. So how do you know it's rubbish, And so I am only going anecdotally about PS Now and how it compares to, Xcloud, and certainly how it compares to Stadia. And it's, it's 720p or something like that, I believe. And, it's a bit old. I think the tech is older. That's all it is. And we know the rate at which tech improves. Said about Stadia, but it's its software company. Stadia competing with Xbox because of Xcloud. A little bit, Eddie. I think it is, because at the moment, the race is the sort of the arena in which they're competing will sort of divert a bit, or will move towards more a cloud-based focus. But at the moment, it's sort of 1 foot in the console bit and 1 foot in the cloud bit, I guess. And so right now in that Venn diagram, Stadia and Xcloud are sort of competing, really, because they're competing for attention in that regard. Xbox offering is you can play it on your big TV, on your 4K TV. You need an Xbox X or whatever, or an Xbox, to do it. But you can also play on mobile phone. That's how they're offering the package. Whereas Stadia is saying you don't need a box, but you can play it on the TV and you can play it on your phone. Chris says, I'm a PS fan. I'm not inclined to use Xbox service, but I am okay with Stadia, which is weird. This is why I feel like Xcloud cannot easily entice players that are not already on Xbox. Yeah, there is a real brand loyalty that exists. We know that. Absolutely. We know that. I think Resurrected says, I think Sony will play their cloud hand very late. Well, I think, I'm not sure whether that's out of choice or planned. Maybe they will think about in the short term, let's just smash it in terms of the console war. Although I quoted that consultancy company that quoted a year ago that Stadia was dead in the water, they published another report on how they thought the PS5 was going to absolutely smash it in terms of console sales compared to Xbox. It's a bit of an old report, so I don't know whether they'd update that view. But I think right now, PlayStation are thinking, well, let's make the most of shifting the units, hardware. Yeah, I think you're right, Christopher Torres. People, it will just sort of happen and sort of be there. You don't have to force it down people's throat, cloud gaming. But one day they sort of wake up and then it'll be like Netflix. It'll just be like the norm, a habit, something we do, a verb, the Netflix and chill. I mean, that whole concept, the fact that it's entered the modern lexicon, as it were, in modern popular culture in that way. I think that's what will happen with cloud gaming. It won't be a sudden switch off all, and all suddenly hardware and all that will suddenly be made redundant. It'll just evolve slowly, and then suddenly it's like a moss. It'll just all be around us and just be a normal thing to do. And as long as Stadia and even Xcloud or whoever it is are up there doing it, delivering it, or even Amazon in the future, it's all good. It's all good. Power Fantastic, hoping that they'll combine PS Now with PS Plus. Yeah. Resurrected that about Stadia not pushing the marketing right now. That's exactly kind of part of what I'm sort of saying in terms of, I think you're right. I think before you release it globally and you really push the marketing, have everything in place. And we're getting there. We're getting there. If you use that Xbox, if you use this as a sort of a benchmark, Stadia is getting to this point. The day one releases, top rated hits, the hidden gems, 100 games. Stadia is getting to that point. But of course, with tons of features. Daniel Rees-Owen, hello, they need to promote more. Don't see Stadia anyway. Yeah. Well, you've got to bear in mind that PR nowadays is not like massive posters or big TV ads. It's all targeted. So maybe you're not in the data sector that they're targeting right now. That's one thing to consider. Dave Handley says, will Stadia marketing team ever focus on highlighting the barrier to entry for next gen? I think in a way it's best not to sort of criticize a platform you're not competing with directly. But in term, saying ads, but ads doesn't cost 500 quid or whatever it is, or $400 or, but by arguing or presenting your case, your value case. And I think there indirectly, you therefore say, yeah, there is a barrier to entry to game in other ways that may not be there with Stadia. But I think Stadia will promote when they feel that they've got a much, the package is in the place it needs to be. Yeah, I think On Live was ahead of it, too early. Yeah. I think we're now on the cusp where cloud gaming as an experience is at the right time. Yeah, I think, Eddie, you're right. A day and date would be awesome for Cyberpunk, but a discount as well, double amazing. Timed exclusive didn't do Microsoft many favors. No, but maybe the nature of their exclusives, because they certainly do favors for Sony. Maker of Chaos. Yeah, I think everything I think Xbox are doing right now, I think, it's compelling offering. It's giving choices to gamers. It's giving options, play on your PC. Okay, don't, buy a brand new box if you want to buy a brand new box, but, here are 2 price options. Forget all the tech behind it and stuff. It's all about new products, do we need a new mobile phone every 2 years? No. Do we convinced to buy one? Yes. That's all it's about. And the same consoles, it's about shifting units of product, of hardware. And Xbox are giving people a choice in that. It's like a Google Pixel 4a and a Google Pixel 4. It's that sort of thing. Any local latency will be more than offset by super low latency between Stadia instances in massive multiplayer games. Yes, fact. I think as Digital Foundry pointed out in Red Dead Redemption, I forget the tech reason behind it, but when you're playing multiplayer games, you are subject to the ping of the highest ping of the people within your sort of group. And if you're playing on Stadia, well, you all have the same, effectively, it's the Stadia machines playing themselves, as it were. That makes sense. So it's absolutely optimized for playing massive multiplayer games. Sean Rolock, yeah, of course. I'm looking forward to playing both, exactly. But for me, you like playing, the games on your mobile phone and stuff. And I think for you, that absolutely ideal offering. I mean, all these games, both on Stadia and on Xcloud and on GeForce Now, you can play on the phone. Is pretty awesome, really. You think about it. Personally, the mobile phone element of it is of little interest to me. Partly because I can't really see the mobile phone. Even I've got like a Pixel 3, I think it is. I mean, these glasses, my eyes going. In my old age, my eyes are going, ladies and gentlemen. Akum Assassin 52 Mac. As a Destiny player, I've seen and experienced my share of lag and glitching, but as a mobile internet user that has a Shield and a PS4 connected, Stadia does not lag hardly at all. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Eddie, for popping in. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciated. Yeah, well, Power Fantastic, I think you're right, and they have to. PlayStation, in fairness, and I'd be quite excited. You've got a situation, if you look at the, I don't want to, we should include GeForce Now. NVIDIA are more closely aligned to Sony and Xbox in terms of their offering. NVIDIA is a hardware company that offers, gaming on their hardware, albeit via PC gaming, but also offering a chance to use their hardware via the cloud. Xbox is a hardware company that sells consoles to play games, but are now also offering the opportunity to play your Xbox games via the cloud. PS Now does that to a certain degree on PlayStation. So it makes sense that, PlayStation can't be. They know that cloud gaming is the future and is sort of coming. Even if it's a parallel future, it runs, well, not a parallel future, but runs parallel to the consoles. The consumers will demand it eventually, and there will be demand for it. And if you don't invest in that now, you're just going to be too late when consumers are demanding for it. That's why Stadia is building what they're building now. So they're ready, built, and established to offer cloud gaming and content when the consumer's ready for it. That's what Xbox are doing. And I absolutely think that PS Now, if they can bring out a 1080p version, or even a really, an improved 720p on your mobile phone, an app on the mobile phone, a really good version of it that competes with Xcloud, I think what PlayStation has, because we know they've got the content, is another great offering. But it just seems very quiet over there in Sony Towers. I believe they'll update Xcloud with either Series S or Series X server blades down the line. Yeah. I mean, they'll all, like all technology gets upgraded and they will progress. I mean, the key thing is then delivering that video, as it were, down the line. That's the difficult thing. The compression and then the sort of unpacking of that compression. You really need a device that can do it, and that's either computer or on the Chromecast or Sabrina, which is, exciting times. We've got that coming at the end of the line. We know Stadia can run things at 120 frames per second right now, 4K, 120 frames per second. We know Stadia can do that, but what it can't necessarily do is run that on the Chromecast. But we know the tech's there, and we know they can easily upgrade when they need to. And equally, Xbox are in a perfect position to swap out their current blades for new blades when they're in a position to do that. And they've got the software and the tech and the AI and algorithms to compress everything in the manner that they need to compress it to get it sent down the old tube straight into your, TV or phone or whatever it is. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found that interesting. It's been a good chat. It's an exciting time. Not just, in the console launching, for people into console gaming and all of that, and even PC gaming with launches of new NVIDIA graphics cards and stuff like that. But for me, it's an exciting time as we're on the cusp of a change of the old and the new, and both PlayStation, Xbox are trying to walk that line between the traditional gaming format that is their bread and butter and the new gaming way of gaming that consumers will begin to expect down the line. And Stadia, as I say, they're not coming in with hardware. They're having to sell the concept plus the offering. That's the key thing. I think Amazon will be able to make a noise in the cloud gaming space because, again, they've got the reach. That's another thing. Reach, content, tech. And we know in Amazon's case, they've got the reach. They've got the cloud. They've got the distribution network via Amazon. We know that. So you can integrate that. They've got Twitch in the same way that Stadia's got YouTube. So we know that they've got some key ingredients. They just need to get the content right, the tech and the content. Zen Alpha says, I tried most of the cloud service stages first and ahead by a long shot. GeForce Now comes second, Xcloud third, PS4 Now fourth. Yeah. I mean, I had a good experience of GeForce Now, and then I had a bad experience of GeForce Now. It was just inconsistent, but it was a better experience when it was good on GeForce Now. It was certainly a better experience than my xCloud experience, but then my xCloud experience was only on the mobile phone, and my GeForce Now experience was on my PC, running a game, at 1080p or 4K or whatever it was. But each have their different issues, exactly. Some of it, like I said, the whole point of this is some have the content but not the tech, some have the tech not the content. But hopefully all this competition, Amazon have their own game studios, exactly, just like Stadia have. Stadia are basing themselves on an Xbox or a PlayStation type model, a combination of first party studios who produce content exclusively for Stadia and the Stadia in-house studios which will produce Stadia exclusive content. So there we go. Stadia talk, how are you? Late to the party. We're just wrapping up, washing up, going around, emptying the drinks, collecting the empties, swilling out. Well, it have to, Maker of Chaos, it has to be better. They always talked about, Xcloud have always talked about a Windows app. That's what it would be, like a Windows 10 app that sits on your desktop, I guess. I mean, it could be an Edge app, but I think it will be an little app that sits like a Xbox app that sits on top of your desktop, and off you go. But yeah, it needs to be in 1080p. Of course it does. But I think they're a bit behind in catching up to that level of tech where you can compress it and unpack it, and some of the secret sauce that Stadia clearly has. Hello there, Bat Pixie. How are you, my friends? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a day there. I want to thank everyone, wherever you are, whatever you're doing in your world, for being here live today, for making the show, for giving the show content, for taking part in the conversation, in the chat, all of that. As I say, I really appreciate everybody who comes here live. I appreciate everybody who's listening to this a bit later and all of that. Have a great evening, afternoon, whatever it is. Have a great rest of the week. There's some big things coming out this week. Xcloud obviously comes tomorrow. That's exciting time for that. We've got some PlayStation announcements later in the week. So all good. And of course, the next 2 weeks, there's lots of Stadia activity that we know is coming up as well. So keep a lookout for that. Enjoy yourself. The discount code. Discount code is for a drink called Engage. It is a focus drink. Yeah, it's got some new topics in it. It's refreshing and it helps focus the mind. Makes a change from just coffee. There's stuff, and there's 2 different types there. There's one that will kind of keep you awake and keep you focused if you've got exams or you've got a work project or something like that. And one that will also keep you focused, but it doesn't have caffeine and it keeps you a bit more chill and all of that. I think it's called Focus Now. Link down in the description if you're interested. Anyway, knock yourself out, enjoy yourself. Everybody, have a good time. Enjoy yourself. And I'll see you around very, very soon. Goodbye, all. Goodbye.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.